from the heart of Dubai, where tomorrow is being built today, to the world. Welcome to the CTO Show with Mehmet. Here, we redefine technology and reimagine possibilities. With Mehmet, delve into the riveting realms of AI, cybersecurity, and digital technology. Experience the thrilling highs and lows of startups. Immerse yourself in the spirit of entrepreneurship and witness the future of business innovation being written in real time. Now, without further ado, let's tune in and explore the future.
Hello and welcome back to a new episode of the CTO Show with Mehmet. Today, I'm very pleased. Joining me, my friend Allan Abbas from Dubai. Right, Allan? You're in Dubai now. So the way I love to do it is I keep it to my guests to introduce themselves. So tell us a little bit more about you, your journey, and what you're currently up to, and then we will start the discussion from there. So the floor is yours.
Sounds great. Thank you, Mohammed, for being on the show. Like you said, I am in Dubai. I'm actually born and raised here, but we're in the process of transitioning to Saudi, myself and my co-founder, because we co-founded Emflex a few months ago, trying to make car financing in Saudi easier. And to give you a bit about myself, since I was in high school, I was so astonished that I can make money giving things to people, or what's known as selling. And I still can't believe that it works. So I love selling stuff. I love building systems. I spent most of my career at Amazon, from operations, starting in the warehouses, picking and packing, to leading teams, to launching warehouses, to managing supply chain of countries, and then moving to product management, designing things internally for Amazon. But my love is for building stuff, and no matter how well things get at Amazon, I always feel myself longing to just quit and do something on my own, and that's where we are today.
And it's very great to have you here today, Allan, on the show. One thing that stopped me, like, you always had this, let's call it the itch to go out and build things and give to people. So now you decided to go in your current startup with something very different, right? So it's like something related to fintech, right? So why this rather than any other thing? Because I'm sure your experience with Amazon, and I know like you had a startup before, which was in sports tourism. So why this time you decide to pick? So I would like to call it or ask it in a way like, what was the aha moment? Like, okay, we need to go and sort out this problem.
No, great question. And you're right. I started by training. I'm a civil engineer. By experience, I'm in operations, and then program management, and then product. But I've always done things that I love. And the sports tourism company was simply because I loved sport. I was watching it. I was helping people plan travel to the World Cup. And that's how the idea started. Like, why don't I just make a business out of it? And something similar happened in the last few years. So after spending a few years at Amazon and, getting what's supposed to be a great salary, and then quitting and doing something, I realized I have nothing left out of the great salary that I thought I had. That's when I learned financial management and the value of actually educating yourself. So that started me going through the rabbit hole of learning about personal finance, investment, stocks, all the things you would study in an MBA. I never got exposed to those things. And coming back to the region, I think the aha moment was realizing that fintech is currently less than 1% of the total banking market. And in mature markets like Canada, the US, and the UK, it crosses 15%, sometimes as high as 18%. So if nothing changes and the regular progress of technology continues, we're expecting a 15 times increase in the fintech space. And I think much more important to be in the right market than to have, the right idea in a bad market, or even worse, a shrinking market. Also, I love it. I think technology is lovely. That's what I want to go deeper into it. And financial technology is even more fun. So right now I'm enjoying what I'm doing, and I hope that continues.
Perfect. One small comment, like probably people who would be listening or watching us and hearing that, both of us were based in the Middle East, they might say, "Hey, but isn't the fintech space very uh, saturated over there?" Because if you look at any report or any study, I did that a lot also myself, right? So I want to see like the top uh, startups by sector, and always fintech comes number one. So is you just mentioned that we touched a very small percentage of that, but how do you think like this sector is moving in our region, and especially from consumers perspective? What are like some of the factors that you think also are encouraging both the consumers to accept these new products, and at the same time maybe the whole ecosystem that is driving this? So if you I would love you to explain this. I know you have the knowledge, Alan, about that, because the goal also is make sure we represent, let's say, the region in the best way we can, you and me. So if you can like give us like this holistic view about the fintech and the whole industry in MENA region.
Absolutely. I think every company will become a fintech company. So aside from the growth, aside from all the percentage, we're already seeing it in the West, where Amazon, Shopify, every company that gets big enough needs to have a fintech component to it. And this goes in parallel with the trend of people. People are a lot more comfortable getting financial services on non-financial platforms. So if you trust the brand, if you're on Amazon.com and you trust it, you're okay to use their credit card or their points or their insurance or any kind of product from them. So I think this trend is continuing, whether you're in, tourism or automobiles or any other tech. Eventually, you will touch on the fintech space, and that's why I think it's always from the highest funded startups in developing markets, and it will continue to do so. I think we're still like years away from saturation. I could be wrong, but I'm betting on it. And in terms of the region, I think a few things make this a much more exciting place. Like I worked in Canada and the US. In fact, I studied in Canada, worked there. All my professional career was there, and I had the chance to do a startup. But twice, when I wanted to do startups in the tourism, and now I came back here. First time was Dubai, and the second time was Riyadh. Why? The opportunity is much higher here, in my opinion. One thing that comes to mind is the phone penetration that's higher than 100%, i.e., there's more than one phone per person. People are very tech savvy, and they're increasingly wanting the financial services to come to them. So we no longer are satisfied with just digitization, like having your bank in an app. We want the banking services to come in a regular user journey, what's known as embedded finance. And we think this trend can be seen, if you look deeper, if it's done well, you don't notice it. Like when you're buying a flight ticket and you have to add on the insurance at the last stop, it is embedded insurance. But if done well, you don't notice it. You feel like it's part of the trend we're seeing across all geographies, and we feel like the Middle East is, ripe for that kind of tech advancements.
Great. So Alan, your answer triggered multiple questions in my mind, which I wasn't prepared to ask, but it's good. So, but let me start with the one that I prepared. So, if I want to go with, you mentioned about the journey, right? So, how you can compare what you're trying to do now with your current startup from customer journey perspective in contrast to the status quo, right? So today, and I think this is something across the region, for finding finance for your car. Yeah, I know what you have to pass, but I will keep the answer for you. So if you take me through this journey, the status quo versus what you are offering?
For sure. So the way it's done right now, it can be summarized as, a minor nightmare. It's not fun. Nobody looks forward to it. Even car lovers, they don't like the financing part. But basically, in Saudi Arabia, 92% of car loans or car sales take 7 or more business days to close. In UAE, it's a bit better, but it's a very manual process. You go, you pick the car, and then you need to deal with the financing, and it's generally frustrating because you don't have one clear place to go and just upload all your documents and get the answer. You need to play this game of, will I get approved here? How are the rates there? Do I need to share some PDFs on WhatsApp? Do I need to email? It's just, I wouldn't say a broken process, but it's not fun and it takes a while. These inefficiencies can be seen across the value chain and they impact car sales, they impact the customer, they impact the lenders themselves. So everyone has room to gain by improving this. So this is how it looks like right now. 7 to 10 business days, frustrating. It's not transparent. And a lot of it is manual work. You need to interact with an insurance, a banking broker or a lending specialist. And you might need to go physically into different banks, give them your stamped salary certificate and things like that. What we envision is making that process less than 90 minutes. And we think, people have accepted the way things are, but it doesn't need to be this way. In the last 5 years, we got so many advancements like the open banking infrastructure, like banking as a service, like the ability for people to consent to have their banking information shared. So these technologies are what we're counting on to be able to streamline the process from A to Z, from 7 days to 90 minutes. And I wish if maybe some other time I can show you the demo, but in the next few weeks, we'll post it online and you can actually try it for yourself. And I think, especially in Saudi, the moment you ask, how was your last car buying experience? Their face was the best market validation for the problem we've ever seen. The moment, even you're not in Saudi, and I think you can tell us a little bit about your experience. I would love to hear it.
Yeah, definitely. And there's nothing that comes, as I say, music to my ears, like something that saves my time, less frustration, smooth process. It's music to my ears. You mentioned something few moments ago, which I don't know if it's coincidence or or maybe we are same mind. I'm sure we are same minded people. You mentioned that every company has to become a fintech company. So at some stage we were saying like every company has to become software company, if you remember. And then now you're saying fintech company and also AI company, right, Alan? So now tell me or walk me through how are you currently utilizing AI and how do you envision, this merge of AI plus fintech would have effect both on, what you're offering today and in the general term of fintech.
Absolutely. So we don't think of AI as a feature. We think of it as a fundamental technology. And, it's like having a website in the year 2000. It was something special. It was, wow, you have a website. Now, if you don't have a website, you're just behind. Same with AI. In let's say in the next 5 years, if you're not integrating the technology available to you with AI in your processes, your business is going to suffer. Your effectiveness will suffer. Your headcount need will increase. And so, what I'm trying to say is, we don't try to use AI to solve a problem. We start with the problem and then see what's the best technology to solve it. So we're problem centric rather than technology centric. But then you realize that AI is a really damn good technology because you can use it for credit analysis. So it helps make the credit analysis better. It helps us match the right lenders to the right applicants because not all banks will fund everyone and not everyone should apply to all banks. Um, we use it in a few other ways also to streamline operations internally, but this is how I think of it. And same thing you said that every company has to become a software company. I think that's very true. And in 20, 30 years, we're going to say every company, has to be able to, I don't know, you know, deal with agentic AIs on a mass scale. And I think it's a regular evolution of technology. You have to use what's out there or you won't be competitive.
Right. One question also, which is I think will be beneficial for people who might be having maybe some question marks. Now, any vertical or any specialization like fintech, health tech, you know, you have some regulations, you have some extra uh, measurements that you need to be following. But let's talk about the regulations more. Like, how easy or complex is it currently in, you think, in our region for starting, a fintech company? And I'm asking you this question to kind of bust some myths, I would say, right? So of course there are like two parts. You need to make sure that also you are safeguarding your customers data and so on and so forth. But when it comes to taking a license and uh, getting your boots on the ground and being able to start and getting customers, how complex, how easy it is, how have you seen it also moving, especially after where the AI became part of it also as well, and people want to have things moving much faster.
No, great question. I think in the fintech space, you definitely need more awareness of the regulation than, say, like a consumer facing or a direct to customer brand. But it's not rocket science. We're lucky to be living in an era where, the regulation is published clearly. It's constantly being updated. I think, credit goes to, uh, the authorities or SAMA in Saudi's case, be very proactive in publishing those regulations. And what we've done, we've had questions about it too, right from the start, right from when we were working on the business model. Well, we did this three things. Number one is we went through all the regulations on the websites, downloaded them, hosted them on our own, little AI, and we're able to conversationally check with certain points because, sometimes it's pages and pages and pages, and it's better to just leverage some tech in that. That being said, wasn't enough to answer all the questions. We still, because we're working on the edge cases. So we reached out to the authorities. We reached out to them, and it was pretty quick. I think within a few weeks, we were able to actually get on the phone. We did that twice. We were able to clear all our questions with them, understand exactly where the parameters are so we can design and include that in our software design. So we're not handling, for example, the pieces of data that we're not supposed to, or we create our architecture in a way that makes it easy. So my advice to anyone working on fintech or thinking about it, it only takes you a few hours to go through all the regulation out there, or download it, put it on any safe AI that's not public, and check if your use case is governed by any specific things, and take that into account from the start, because it's really hard to change things around once you're running and you have customers and you have revenues, and you need to revamp your whole system. So that's my advice. And if you still think it's complicated, reach out to them. They're available on LinkedIn, via email, and they're responsive, which is something amazing.
Right. You mentioned something about open banking, and I've seen this space going really fast, at least in this part of the world, which to my surprise wasn't as fast as you would expect, especially for example in Europe and other parts of the world. So I believe open banking is moving at a fast pace, and for fintech companies like yours, Alan, I think this is a crucial, because I mean you would be able to get the data much faster. You would be able to integrate with different banking systems at the same time. Now my question is, uh, why do you think that open banking is also something which is kind of you can't skip in the future? And I'm asking you this question because I get it sometimes when I try to explain to people about, the integrations that you can do with open banking and the opportunities that opens for you. Some people get stuck a little bit, like they say, okay, well, so what? Like, so answer us this, like, so what about the open banking? Why it's crucial?
Great question. I think it's like fundamentally the way I think of open banking is that you own your own data. So what does that mean? Previously, the bank had access to all your data and only, they can fully utilize it. But the ownership transferred to you, which means you can use your data in anywhere you want. You can use it to apply to a car loan. You can use it to optimize your expenses. You can use it for retirement planning. So I think what's magical or what open banking unlocks is the ability to fully utilize your financial information, which was previously not easily possible. Of course, you can request everything from the bank and download it and try to analyze it, but now you can leverage other tech. Okay, there's a company that does budget analysis, consent, they take all your data safely, analyze it, give you the results. So I think in terms of why it's a big deal, is unlocks like a whole new world of things that you can do. I mean, this is auto loans is just a small part of it. Like, and we haven't even gotten close to the peak. There's gonna be crazy things that come out of this that may be hard to visualize or talk about now. Otherwise, we'd be doing it.
Yeah, indeed. Of course, I can. For me now, the sky is the limit, honestly, with anything, right? With the age of AI, and of course, and I highlight this, our ability to be more creative. Why? Because, finally we reach a stage where we can give the repetitive tasks, the boring tasks to the machine, and then we can go and try to think, okay, how we can make these things better, how we can be creative in this domain. So to your point, and I 100% agree that, the future is very, very bright to us. Now, one question which is not related much to the fintech as much as related to something, when I was preparing for this episode today, about the way you operate, Alan, yourself. So in your previous startup, like, you did it without funding, no mentorship, no previous experience, uh, and now, I'm not sure how different is it currently, but what do you think are the biggest lessons you have learned by bootstrapping? Again, I'd let you answer, and then I will tell you why I'm asking this question later. So, because I want to take your opinion, let's say, about something. So, walk me through, like, this experience of being somewhere where you've never been before, no support financially from investors, and you don't have someone to tell you, hey, you're doing the right thing, you're doing the wrong thing. Like, how is it psychologically, I would say?
It's a lot scarier talking about it than it is when you're doing it. Like I was 25, 26. Nobody can tell me what to do. I don't need anyone to tell me what to do. I went by what I call Allan logic, which is sometimes completely stupid, but sometimes it works. So the advantage of it, because there's a lot of disadvantages that are obvious, the advantage is you can literally do whatever you want and you guarantee two things. Either you earn or you learn. So if I don't make money, I learn something amazing. And that's how it became a sports tourism company, because there aren't any, if you check, even now, I think it's an underappreciated or underutilized segment, because everyone loves sport in the Middle East, Dubai, Riyadh. Everyone loves going and watching. But why aren't there tourism companies that specialize in that? This was my logic back then. I'm like, I want to go watch the World Cup. I checked. And, there's a regular travel agency, but they don't know how to do the tickets. They don't know the nuances of attending World Cup is different than booking a vacation. And I'm like, okay, let me just make a poster and try to sell it and see if people are interested. And they did. So this kind of thing, I don't think will fly with an investor. It'd be like, okay, where's the business model? Where's the go-to-market strategy? Which segment are you targeting? What's your ideal customer profile? And that has its value, definitely. I think this is the way to get to $100 million business. But I think everyone should try starting their own thing because, you know, there is no right and wrong. The market tells you if you make money, you were right. If you didn't, maybe you weren't. Um, so yeah, it's scary if I think about it now, but in the moment I was having a blast. I was like, even in school, selling a Pokemon card for 1 dirham, I would be excited and go tell my mom about it. So imagine me making, I think at the peak was like $100,000 a month revenues, not profits. It was amazing, something I envisioned, and then people buy it. Like, I still find that pretty cool.
Nice. Now on the bootstrapping part, and not seeking some investments, uh, is this the route that, from your experience, you advise founders to take? Because some of the founders, especially I think the first time ones, they would go out, and I can't blame them. I'm not saying this to say they are doing something wrong, but I'm taking an opinion of a second time founder, I would say, Alan, with you. Um, the route today for success, and I know sometimes if you need to scale things, because some people, I see this debate on LinkedIn sometime, all the time. No, you should go bootstrapping all the way. No, you have to go and seek some investment, maybe from angels first and maybe VCs later. But in your opinion, and now you're doing it the second time, what do you think is the balance here?
So 95% of businesses don't have any funding. 95% of businesses is everything we see around us, the brick and mortar stores, small shops, and all that. So most business by default, for most of the time, you just need to create value and charge a little bit more than it. So you have a margin. The whole getting funding game, it's, I think, a different game. It's a game where you're not just trying to create a business, you're trying to get $1 billion business. And it's very hard doing that without having strong backing, whether it's investors, advisors, co-founders, deep expertise. So I think there are two different games, and it's important to know which game you're playing. And there's no right or wrong answer. And, my first startup, I played the first game, and now I'm playing the second game. But it's dangerous mixing up two. If you're, aiming to have a good salary and, a well-balanced life, and you're satisfied with being, the only person in the business, then you shouldn't play the second game because that's not the game. So I think the first step is to know which game you're playing. And if you're playing the second game and you want to make $1 billion company, you're going to realize when you do your planning, when you try to go to market, when you run the math, you realize, okay, I actually need some capital. And to actually go and get the capital, you need to prove your model. You need to do a proof of concept, or you need to get some initial traction. So my advice to anyone doing it is whatever opportunities are around you, try to take those. If you already have a full-time job, you're not going to be able to play the VC funding game, but you can start something on the side, or you can fund a small business on the side and, grow with it. Yeah, I hope that answers the question. I kind of forgot what the question
Absolutely.
was.
No, you 100% answered the question, Alan. And
What's your
yeah,
take on it?
okay. Uh, it's not like because you are my guest today, I agree with you, and I turn that to your goals, ambitions, and your passion in this life, right? So the first model you talked about, and again, to your point, and I agree 100%, there's no right or wrong answer here. What people nowadays, they call it the lifestyle business, right?
Mhm.
So maybe it's like you have a company, uh, you offer something, people on a SaaS model, or service model, or whatever, and you have this revenue coming all the time, and you're happy with it, right? Because it doesn't only cover your day-to-day life costs, but also, like, it leaves you with a possibility to be living a nice life, I would say. And you say, okay, if I'm doing, let's say, 2 million ARR, I'm very happy with this. Nothing
It's
wrong,
amazing.
right? Now, but after meeting a lot of founders, and I'm lucky enough, some of them, they were on this show, I discovered, like, it turns out it's something, I'm not sure, like something which comes from their personality. It comes from the experiences that they had in their lives, maybe during their childhood. I don't know, maybe some major events happen. So they start to have this idea, and believe me, and I'm saying this to the audience also, it's not because they want the $1 billion tag. It's not because they want ring a bell on one of the stock exchanges. These guys, they became motivated. They are like different kind, right? So they want to be part of something big. They want to leave legacy, let's call it. They want to change lives. So this is why I tell people there's nothing wrong of choosing the first one, to your point, and there's nothing wrong of choosing the second one, but the second one is much harder. Let me tell you this. Um, and I've seen the people who do the second one, they have a lot of scars, and they keep getting these scars all the way. Um, but again, I noticed something you said now, Alan, which is very, very right. Some people mix things up and they start to jump from here to there and there to here. And then you see them like a little bit kind of lost, and even affects their personality. And I tell people, okay, sometimes you need to pause a little bit, take a deep breath, like just ask yourself why I'm doing what I do, right? So why I start this business, or why I want to do this business. Is it to have a good life for me and my family and loved ones? Or is it like, yes, that plus a bigger goal, bigger ambition? So I can't agree more with you, Alan, on this. And there's something you answered, like also in the previous question, I needed to re-highlight it, is you you said you earn or you learn, right? So this is what you said,
Mm.
right? So
Exactly.
this is because I always, people ask me, okay, how do you see your failures? I say I don't have failure word in my dictionary. I have only, success and learning. Because if I do something it doesn't work, that doesn't mean I failed, right? It's just I tried something that looks. It turned out that it's not the best way to do things. And this is why I tell people about pivoting, changing. It's normal. Like, it's part of the life. Now, you just out of curiosity, also, Alan, you've been into Antler program, right? And it's one of the biggest global accelerators. So, how was the experience like? And do you advise people to go through it?
It was amazing. I've never lived and, and worked 24/7 with builders, people who want to build shit, and, people who have bigger ambitions than me. Usually I've had this issue or situation where I always try to start businesses with the people I trust because they're around me. We know them. And I do think business needs to be built on trust. But oh my God, being surrounded by builders is so much fun. Like it doesn't feel like work. You do the work, right? But then you're discussing this new business model. Then you're learning this new AI tool. And all of them, by definition, if you're trying to start $1 billion company, by definition, it's going to be something either new or sophisticated or mind, expanding. It's different. You want to, okay, lifestyle business is amazing, but you can replicate one of the 20 existing proven models, e-commerce store, SaaS model, whatever it is. But being around people who, when they told me what they wanted to do, I was like, are you sure you want to do that? That's a bit crazy. That was a really nice feeling because I'm usually the crazy one. So I loved being surrounded by those people. And again, going back to game A or game B, if you're playing the lifestyle small business game, I love it. All the power to you. Don't go to Antler. It's not that game. That's a different game. Read up on it. If you're playing game B, which is $1 billion business, and you want some of the best investors out there backing you with some of the best people, by the time you get to this program and you start, you're sitting with, in my case, it was 70 people out of 8,000 applicants that applied from all over the world. And halfway through the program, I told my wife, even if the program ends today and I don't get any investment, just the people, just my roommates, my 2 roommates that I lived with, they were worth, the benefit. Like, I feel like I got my money's worth. So I definitely recommend people get familiar with it, because you will hear about it, whether your friend is going to go or a company is going to come from it. Get familiar. And if you're thinking about getting funding and meeting these kind of people, even if you haven't found it, try to get into it. Highly recommend it.
Absolutely. And this is also the feedback I heard from some people who also were accepted either here locally. I mean, because Antler, they started to operate in our region, in MENA region, and also the people who enrolled in their program in Singapore and other part of the world. So actually, they use the same phrase, like just meeting these people there, like it's worth. And it reminds me, because sometimes people asks me, okay, what is it for you in running this podcast? It's not a business, it's not your main thing. I said, guys, meeting awesome people like the ones that I meet, you can put a price tag next to it, right? Like uh, you make like long life friends, you see the best minds in the region, and in what they are doing. So absolutely, I can really relate. Although, like, I've never been in an accelerator program, but I can 100% relate to what you're saying, Alan. Uh, Alan, if I want, because as we're like closing or like coming to an end, but before I let you go, I would say I still have like a couple of things to ask you. Uh, Entrepreneurship in our region. Uh, do you think we are going any soon reach a phase where we can say, hey, we are not only building for the region, we are actually going to build something that goes global? The reason I'm asking you this, and you've been in Canada, and you've been to the US also. One thing that we keep discussing, we are so excited about, and I had just a meeting today with someone who are discussing this. So we see the talents, people, smart people like yourself, a lot of other people, and builders, to your point. But we see the thing stops with the region, and we don't see them trying to go global. And this is kind of having this question mark with all what is happening around us. When we gonna see the MENA region on really the global map of not only, yes, we have money because of all the support coming from the government, but also becoming really a rival to the other big spots in the world. So, and one of being yourself one of the entrepreneurs that is building currently with your co-founder and your team, tell us, give us some hope when we might see something like this.
I don't know, but I think we're getting there. And I think the region is so vast that, we have more people in the Middle East than the US, for example. If my math is right, US is about 330, and I think we're close to 500 million, especially if you include Pakistan, India areas. So I think building like something like Kitopi or Kareem that's expanded to the Middle East area, it's already at the scale that some of the big companies have. Of course, we're not quite there yet competing with them, but I think it's just a matter of time. I think, and I'm hopeful we're going to witness it in the next few years. But I really don't have very strong, like personally, the startup we're building, I'm completely satisfied if we're able to operate in the Middle East and the surrounding regions, and we never go to North America. It's still going to be $1 billion business. And
Yeah, true.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Uh, Alan, is there anything which you wished I had asked you and I didn't? Like, so this is the space I give my guests, like if they want to share anything, any, I don't know, final wisdom words, I would say, like anything like you want to share. And of course, what I ask my guests at the end is to tell us where we can get in touch and find more about what you're doing.
Of course. I want to ask about your favorite fruit. I'm always curious to know which fruits you like.
Me, Apple.
Why?
I don't know. Since childhood, there's no reason.
Okay, I think it's the first time I get an apple. Interesting. Okay, mine is mango, and a lot of people answer mango. But yeah, thank you. No, this has been fantastic. Thank you for doing your homework, preparing. Thank you for the opportunity to be here and share the stage and also talk to your audience. In terms of wisdom, I have none to share, but I'm happy to advise if anyone has any questions. If you're watching this and you hear something I said that you want to find out more, or you think I'm wrong, find me on LinkedIn, Allan Abbas, and let me know, because I'd love to improve. And yeah, I'm sure my link will be in the bio. Good luck to everyone out there, and fail more. I know Mehmet doesn't like to call it failure, but I've just like go and try to fail more, because sometimes
Yeah,
you'll fail at failing and you'll succeed.
absolutely. Yeah, of course, we have to still use the word fail. Like, okay, I'm not that strict, but yeah, definitely um, fail fast, fail more also, I would say. So this is they might say, hey, yeah, you're copying some Silicon Valley term. Yeah, but it turns out like this is what made the Silicon Valley great, right? So because I think one of the things we need to accept, which we were not very great, but we started to get great as, is always to shame, talk in the back when someone try to do something and they fail. But actually, we should first be beside them. Second, try to let them also understand that, hey, this is not really failure. This is just learning. To your point, Alan. And yeah, and thank you for sharing your experience and your ambitions also to build this great business that you are doing, Alan. And I'm always, and I think I told you this before when we met the first time, I'm always, like my heart become like very, it's like pumping very fast. Why? Because we have someone in the region, talented, knows what they want to achieve, like yourself. This makes me excited. Like it get hope, I would say, to us. So thank you very much, for all what you're doing, and thank you for being here with me today. And yes, you were right. Like people will find Alan uh, LinkedIn link in the show notes if you're listening on your favorite podcasting app, and if you are watching on YouTube, of course, you will find it on YouTube's description. And this is how usually I end my episodes. So guys, if you just discovered this podcast by luck, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did so, please share it with your friends and colleagues. And if you are one of the people who keeps coming again and again, the loyal fans, thank you very much for you, because all of your support, because all what you do in the background that I don't know how you do it, guys. We are managing for the first time since 2 years to get in the top 200 Apple podcast charts in multiple countries, which it's a first. So Jan was good, Feb was good, and I'm sure like also March is gonna be good, and April also as well. And also because of the support and the loyalty that you showed, the CTO show with Mehmet is considered as the top 40 most listened business podcasts in Dubai, which is also a honor that I have. And thank you very much for being so loyal. And please, 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 if you need me to enhance anything, something you don't like, something you like, I would love to hear about it. So thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll meet again very soon. Thank you. Bye bye.
Hit that subscribe button, share the show with your tech-savvy friends and fellow entrepreneurs, and leave us a review on your favorite podcast app. Your support means the world to us.